I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening. Mr. Belair, would you kindly introduce our guests this evening?
Sure. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. After 3 very successful grade 5 promotions, a middle school 8th grade promotion, and a splendid high school graduation, welcome, everybody. It certainly was a busy 2 weeks. I said to my wife, sometime next week I'll be returning home at a normal time. But it's been great. We've had some great celebrations across the district. I'd like to welcome Pat Fedor, who's here tonight representing our Administrator Association. Linda Braley's pinch hitting tonight with our Federation of Classroom Teachers. And Tess Townsend is here this evening from the London Day. And welcome, everybody.
Thank you. At this time, are there any comments from our guests this evening? Is your opportunity? Any comments? If I may just say, it's nice to see everyone back, even though school is officially out, so congratulations for being here with us this evening. At this time, and the board, if you'll excuse me, I would ask a member of the board if you kindly make a motion to add to the under possible action from our items from executive session. If you would please, someone add superintendent's evaluation to.
So moved.
Thank you, Jody. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Then we add that to the agenda. That takes us right to our recognition this evening. Jean, would you like to start that off?
I would. I'd just like to direct your attention to the screen over here on the Promethean board. You're taking a look at each of our 5 schools along with the Friendship School, the magnificent construction work that's occurred here in the Waterford Public Schools over the past 10 years. And we have 2 guests here this evening that we'd like to recognize. One is Gus Cote, who has served as the construction manager, as well as his right-hand man that usually is found in a Kubota, Dave Wendland. And I asked both of them to join this evening because the official day-to-day oversight of construction concludes tomorrow. And when you think about it from a professional career, these 2 men have spent 10 years of their professional career living and working in our community with construction. And as you take a look, there's some high school photos. This community has really transformed the teaching and learning environments for the students and the staff here in the Waterford Public Schools. And these are 2 individuals who really have just embraced Waterford. They've been part of the staff. I'm not sure when you get to Monday you're going to know which way to go. But one of the things that Gus told us at our construction committee the other night is that he's been assigned to the Wethersfield High School project, and he says, thank goodness it's a WHS acronym. And he also said usually each morning he usually pulls in on Minor Lane, and when he gets to Wethersfield, he's going to be driving down J Drive. So I just want to say the perseverance, the cooperation and the collaboration has really been outstanding. And I know along the way, each of the schools have taken time to recognize your good work. And I thought it was important tonight that we bring you to the Board of Education and really say thank you for your good work. You've been partners throughout the process. You've worked very closely with us. You've persevered, and every day wasn't a happy day, but you worked through it with us. And we have a couple of tokens of appreciation that we'd like to present to you. So, Kathleen, maybe you might want to start with this.
Thank you.
So, Gus and Dave, you need to come forward.
Well, they come over here.
Or right over here.
Both of the certificates, I believe, read the same. So I'll read them out loud. Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate of appreciation is presented to Gus Coa and Dave Wendland in recognition of dedication, perseverance, and commitment to timely project management and oversight of school construction presented with deepest appreciation the 26th day of June 2014, signed from the Board of Education and our superintendent of schools. If I may just add, we are going to miss you, but just to clarify, we're still going to be around when we call you.
Just so that you know, O&G works for us until the project closes out. And they know that, but the day-to-day is no longer necessary.
Right. And we thank you for, we hear just compliments throughout the community on the great work. And I know I work closely with Jody and the board and the school building committee and get this all priced, and we're just delighted. And I remember back with the Friendship School, so this has gone on for a long time. So thank you, and Jody, thank you, thank you. And Dan, thank you very much, thank you. And Jerry has a surprise.
So I said to Jay Miner about a month ago, Jay, we really need a memento that both of you will never forget Waterford as a result of this memento, and something to put in the new trailer or the new work site. So I want you to know I take great pride in presenting this memento. This is the actual Waterford High School effective paper. And it was presented to Gus Cote on June 26, 2014. Be careful.
Well, it'll be a paperweight.
So, Jay, thanks very much for your help in selecting these wonderful gifts.
Mike, you can have the opportunity if you'd like to say something.
Well, I'd like to commend your building committee too.
Yeah.
Chairman Lewis, excellent work throughout the year. They should be proud of the building committee. They really gave it every minute they have. Came up with these beautiful buildings, and I wish you're going to enjoy them for many, many years to come. And great tips and successful bids will come out. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Done a lot of work.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody. It was a beautiful building you allowed us to build. It was a wonderful 10-year experience out of my 48 years career. And I was retiring after this, but I'm going to do another one. Rocky Hill High School.
Well,
So thank you very, very much, everybody.
Thank you.
thank
Very
you.
much.
We may just close out because it seems like such a big part of the history, but we want to thank our administrative team, Jay Miner also with his work and with the high school. It's an exceptional project, and you helped get that through, and we had to move back and forth, so we won't forget you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Geller, for that. It takes us right to possible action on our items for our executive session, and the first one is a motion for a leave of absence. Board member, please. Thank you, Jim.
That the Waterford Board of Education approves a leave of absence for Ms. Diana Wurstborn for the 2014-15 school year.
Thank you, Sherry. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jody. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can move to vote. All those in favor of the leave, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Second is a confidential student matter that was handled in executive session. I'll need a motion for this matter. Jody?
I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education accepts the stipulated agreement and moves to expel student 2014-C in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement.
Second.
Thanks, Jody. Second by Kevin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion also carries unanimously. And third item was the superintendent's evaluation. The board in session or out of executive session, I can tell you the superintendent received an overall excellent evaluation, and he gave a nice overview to the board members on his 4 areas of responsibilities, including community and board relations, educational leadership, organizational management, personal and professional qualities, and relationships. And the board had an opportunity to to ask questions after the superintendent gave a fine and comprehensive overview to the board, and we discussed each one of those areas in depth, and the board has charged me after to write up a written evaluation that will be public information. But overall, the superintendent excels in each one of those areas, and the board was very pleased with his performance. Would you like to care to add anything?
I'm pleased that you said so. So thank you very much, and as I indicated to the board as we were discussing the evaluation, it is a pleasure to work with you. And one of the things that I shared with the board from the staff's perspective, how supportive the Board of Education is of our work, and we greatly appreciate that.
Great. Thank you. That takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any comments or corrections concerning the consent agenda, minutes of the May 22nd regular meeting, the monthly expenditure report for May 2014, food service report for May 2014, and the write-off accounts receivable for 2012-13? Any comments? If not, would somebody care to make a motion to accept the consent agenda as...
So moved.
Jody, second. Second, I think Sharon. If there is no discussion, we can move to a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion also carries. Takes us right to our reading or review of correspondence. Mr. Gilliard?
I have two pieces of correspondence, and both are from the chair of the Board of Finance, Ron Fedor. Alan Walensky has been reappointed to the School Building Committee, and Bill Sheehan will be the Board of Finance representative during teacher negotiations. So those are two pieces of correspondence that I have.
Thank you. I want to tell the board, I finally brought in all of this to the board. These are the high school review magazines that I've been telling you about from the publication of the National Federation of State High School Associations. So I'll add them to our folders back here, and at your leisure, take a look. There's some really nice articles you might be interested in there. We did receive a card this evening from one of our retirees, Principal Dr. Glenda Dexter, and with your permission, I would like to leave this to the board. I'm going to mention some retirees. Dear Kathleen and members of the Waterford Board of Education, please accept my heartfelt thanks for the clock you presented me at Langley's earlier this month. It is absolutely beautiful. My time and experiences in Waterford have been rewarding and fulfilling, and so I view the clock not simply as a departing gift, rather it represents the time we have worked together for the children of Waterford. I will treasure that. That's Glenda Dexter. We don't want to cheer up, but we want to thank Glenda for her many, many years of service to our children here in Waterford, to being a great administrator, attending all the Board of Ed meetings, always with a smile, and being just so congenial and working through the district with us over these years. We're going to miss you greatly, and we wish you the very best. And if I may have a privilege, I'd like to take this moment to recognize all of our retirees. I know it was difficult for the board to be in attendance at Langley's with time constraint in business. So if I may just have this opportunity, I'll read all of our retirees, but send a special message to you. Rebecca Monty from Waterford High School, Glenda Dexter, Quaker Hill Elementary School, Jerry Brander from Park Lane Middle School, Linda Roseland from Oswegatchie Elementary School, Catherine Stewart from Great Neck Elementary School, and Marcia Winkler from Oswegatchie Elementary School. The Board of Education sends its very best wishes to all of our retirees for personal success in the future, and we thank all of them very much for their service to Waterford School District. Thank you. With that, we can move right to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to highlight some of the work that's on display around the room here this evening. This represents work from Clark Lane Middle School, our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Right behind me over here is work related to Rube Goldberg projects. There are grade 7 mind maps over here right by the door going into my office. In the back, 6th graders working with math. They're the 100% me posters where they were really working with percentages. You also see some photos of the orchestra over here. You see pledges on the part of a civic responsibility project where what students stand for and what they'd like to represent to improve the climate and the culture within our society, all with the American flag at the backdrop. You see some geography projects over here on the bulletin board behind Ms. Cummings. And then at the table there, you see a number of art projects from 7th and 8th grade students. So thank you to Clark Lane Middle School. The work will remain here during the summer, so we'll have a live place here in the conference room. I was going to mention it during correspondence, and I put it here under my report. In looking at projected enrollment next year for 14 and 15, and it's early in the season, but we're monitoring it very closely. I was involved along with Craig Powers as well as Chris Osmond, principal at Oswegatchie School, meeting with a group of parents who were very concerned about class size in grade 5. And we met with about 15 parents for about 2 hours really talking about the class size. And one of the benefits of the opportunity to have this conversation was really to address misinformation and rumors. And the 5th grade class size at Oswegatchie next year is 21. Right now we're projecting 3 classes of 21. At Great Neck is where I have a hot spot that we'll watch throughout the summer. I have 3 classes of 23 in the 5th grade. And at Quaker Hill, the 5th grade is classes of 20 and 19. So I have a petition that was presented to me that day. I have it here on file here in the office, and I assured the parents that we would monitor the numbers, just not at Oswegatchie, but in all classrooms across the district. We also talked about perhaps some special supports that we might need to put in place for some of the students moving to 5th grade. I thought it was a very productive meeting, a lot of good listening, as well as sharing of ideas and suggestions. But I also want to call to your attention, we have a second hot spot, and that's kindergarten over at Quaker Hill. Right now we're looking at 2 classes, one of 21 and one of 20. So we want to monitor that and then make a decision in early August as to where we stand. We have another formal registration period, I think it's August 12th. And we'll look at that very closely. We're currently in the process of hiring staff because we do have vacancies, so we're looking at candidates very closely. But I just wanted to call to your attention because we did have this meeting with the parents. They did present me with a petition. We had a great conversation around a variety of issues, but also got to share what class sizes look like across all schools at each grade level. And then for you to be aware as we end school, this is where we are with projected enrollment at this time. But we know we have students move in, and we may also have some families moving out of the district. But we have 2 grades, 2 classes rather, that we're monitoring closely. And we'll monitor all of the sections. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
So we should have a better sense then by August, the August 12th, as to where those numbers will actually fall.
We also, as parents, contact us and let us know they're moving into the district. We ask which grades they're in, and we'll keep track of that throughout the summertime. But we'll monitor those class sizes. If we need to do anything before the board meets next, I will communicate with you that there's a need, and I'd like to move forward with this. We do have one contingency teacher within our budget for issues like this that if we need to address it.
Thank you for meeting and listening to the parents. Getting back to the board. Did you have another?
The other thing that I just wanted to do, we rush sometimes at the end of the year, and I just wanted to highlight when we were over at the high school, I had an opportunity just to share a couple of things, but I think we really need to be mindful of the accomplishments that took place in this district this year. From an instructional perspective, our staff rolled up their sleeves and really deepened their understanding related to the Common Core and what that meant for their classroom instruction. The quality of the professional development I thought was exceptional. We have many student accomplishments at this district. What was interesting is when I sat with Dave Souza just taking a look at the athletic accomplishments this year, I think what I became most proud of was the number of students, both in the region and in the state, that were recognized from Waterford around sportsmanship. I thought that was absolutely exceptional. We also had some outstanding play on the field. We had the first time we had the girls soccer team be the state champion, and we had many of our programs participate in state events. The drama productions, the musicals, the artwork that you see on display in the high school, and then the work that went out into exhibitions in the community. And then just what we worked on this year with really containing costs and working closely to monitor opportunities to really improve and enhance the operations in the district. So it's really kudos to the Waterford Public Schools. I thought it was a very, very successful year. So we've got a good team here, and this board's part of that team, so thank you for your support. The other thing that I just wanted to mention to you, you approved a financial report, which was early June. And as you know, I have shared at an earlier meeting that we kind of went into a freeze near the end of April because we had some significant expenses in the area of special education that could not have been forecast. And so as we're getting to the finish line, which is next Monday, June 30th, we know we have a $250,000 grant from the state to offset the TFS, the Friendship School tuition. We are going to be very close. We may not hit that 250. We may be more around the 220 or the 210. That's how tight it's been in the last couple of months, and really how, when you're looking at a budget that's a 0.73 increase, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. And so, again, compliments to our team to really manage those finances well. And I think it would be important sometime during July if we could put the finance committee together so we can review the year as well as look ahead, because we have even more information now. We now have a sense of the number of students that are going to the magnet schools, some areas that maybe we may save additional dollars, but other areas that we may need to spend some additional dollars. So I think it would be important to schedule a meeting in July, and I'll work through Joyce to try to see calendars so that we can pick the right day and the right time. Okay? And then the other thing that I just wanted to call to our attention, we inadvertently have a conflict with our September Board of Ed meeting. We scheduled it for the 25th, and that's Rosh Hashanah. So we really need to move that date, and I think what we'll do is we'll take a look at the back-to-school nights, we'll take a look at the town meetings, whether they be Board of Finance or whatever, and then send something out and get a sense from you as to what's the best night to meet in September. Okay, so I just wanted to call that to your attention. And that's all I have.
If I may just go back on a few of your points. I think if I could say for the Board of Education, and this goes out to both Park Lane and to the high school, both the graduations were just exemplary. The student behavior and comportment throughout the graduation was just ideal, and to sit at the high school and look out over the field at the whole complex being finished and to see our students there, it was just remarkable. I think I speak for the board when I make that compliment to both middle school and to the high school. It's a tremendous amount of improvement, and we just were delighted about that. Jody?
I just wanted to say something too about the 5th grade promotion exercises that you had. I loved them. All three were different. I was at the wrong school on the wrong night, but anyway, I made it to the school before it got over with. But it was so nice seeing those 5th graders and seeing the families. And what I loved too is they were all different. All three were different, but they were really touching and very, very special. So they're lucky they have all three of you as principals.
And thank you so much for that attendance. And then Jerry, just, I don't mean to correct anything, but I think it was a .55, so it's even tighter.
Well, for next year, but the budget that we just
this
came off
one,
of was
yes.
the .73.
Oh, the .70, and that's very close.
Yeah.
You're right. Excuse me. And then, I think that was, and on the Rosh Hashanah piece, I think when the board, we did that, we were thinking of the day off, so it's I apologize to the board. We'll get back on that date, but thank you. Yes, you're right. Okay. That takes us to committee and other reports. I know Jody can have a report.
Do you want to do the Friendship School, though?
You can do it.
No, I don't want to do them all. I'll do the Youth Service Bureau first. Camp Dash is in full swing. They have a record number of students. Let's see, I just wanted to let you know, I want to let the board know that Camp Dash registrations have reached 150 campers throughout the 8 weeks. This is a record number of registrations, and we are incredibly proud of this remarkable achievement. If anyone of you, and this is from Danny, if any one of you would like to visit this summer, please feel free to do so. The camp directors and staff have planned a spectacular summer. We have attached the week 1 newsletter so that you can see how we will kick things off. Also, they have a special fundraiser that they plan on having in July called Get Your Grill On. I think I mentioned this at our last meeting, but here's some flyers. They still need people to cook, to participate. But even if you don't want to participate, please come and enjoy the day. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the money, the proceeds that they make from the barbecue, they want to use it towards counseling because, as we said before, they have a record number of students that do need counseling, and it's very expensive. And thanks to Jerry and the Board of Ed, they do donate some money towards the counseling services at the Youth Service Bureau. And their mental health service that they had in May at the high school about counseling, that went off very well. It was not a Safe Kids Fair, but I forgot what they called it. What did they call it? Mental health fair. And I got to talk to some of the students that participated, and they really enjoyed it, so I hope they could do it next year. And I also mentioned Sherry's suggestion to maybe have something at the middle school, for the middle school students along that same line. That's very important. And also some sad news in a way. Nicole Van Overloop, she's no longer going to be the youth officer at the high school or on the youth service board, so I'm really going to miss her. She's been on for a long, long time. I watched her grow up. She played basketball with my daughter, and I think she's been great with the kids. But she has 2 little boys of her own, and she wants to spend more time with them, so I understand. But Nicole was such a great asset, and the children, the students really liked her a lot, and they trusted her. And I hope the next police officer, he can instill that trust in the students, too, because that's very important. I think that's it. Youth Service Bureau is going to be very busy this year with Camp Dash, but so far it's been a really good program. And what I was impressed with is they're going to have they also have a learning center there, a learning lab, and the students can go there for an hour during each camp day and just work on the computers and keep their reading and math skills sharp. They're also going to have a Lego center where they can build things. What they're trying to do is have activities for students that maybe don't like to go outside and play sports and things like that all the time, but they're more indoor type students, but educational type programs. So I'm going to try to visit them a couple days just to see how it's going. But I'm very proud of our Youth Service Bureau. I think they do a tremendous job for our children and our families in town.
Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Are there other reports? Sure.
Just briefly for LEARN, I was honored to have been reelected as chair of the board for LEARN.
Congratulations.
I'm happy that I get to serve there representing Waterford. And last week, it unfortunately conflicted with our middle school graduation, but our Marine Science Magnet High School had its very first graduation of all of 23 students. So that was exciting. It was, history making, if you will. It was nice to see the 23 kids graduate for our first class.
Well, congratulations again, Sherry, and thank you for representing this board. And thank you very much. Sounds good. Other reports? I know we did have and Sherry, maybe you'd like to speak about that. We did have a Friendship School Governance Board, and our superintendent chaired that. I think the major issues on there were the transition. They met with our kindergarten teachers, and
a very successful transition as the students then move in either to our kindergarten or first grades at our 3 elementary schools, being sure that our staff knows the learning needs and the learning profiles of our youngsters that are returning to their home schools. So we've had a very successful transition around all of that.
Right, and then what they also mentioned was some of the money, the grants, is going to do some security upgrades, and that we should say and compliment to the Friendship School that they are NIAC accredited, and they had their 5-year plan, midway plan with their bullet, so it was a very favorable meeting, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
for me. The MetroCast board did meet. I attended the last meeting for it. Jackson is the new chair of MetroCast, and we should compliment MetroCast for being such a good provider to our community with service. They're going to be helping us with the installation of flags and different endeavors like that. And then you'll hear in a few minutes about our policy, so I won't give you any reports. Are there any other reports from the board members? Okay, hearing none, that will take us, I believe, to the adoption of our textbooks. And Mr. Powers, you may want to let the board know the textbooks are out, and maybe just give a little statement about what you told me, how they'll still be available.
Sure. So they were at the last board meeting, and then we had a very weighty meeting at the high school, and we have each committee, we're talking social studies right now, do a thorough review of several resources that would complement our curriculum, and really they matched what they think is the best resource to our curriculum. And the list that was in your curriculum guide and behind Jody and Dave tonight, we presented the paper copies, and you'll just have to know that when we're doing the purchase, if the board moves to accept the textbook adoption, they will be a blend of paper and electronic subscription, and it really depends on the course, exactly what percentage, but generally speaking, for the high school, we're only getting the classroom set, and then the vast majority is electronic. And if you've actually tried to pick up a book, you should understand that the weight adds up quickly, because that's one resource in one class that a student has. So we've been trying to do mostly electronic. So everything that you have in front of you is online plus additional resources. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just want to thank you for that explanation to the board, because we were not certain how many of the texts were used, and it's good to see the use of the text and technology together, so because some of them are quite weighty. Are there any questions for our assistant superintendent? We've been sharing and passing the books around this evening, and as Mr. Powers said, the books will still be here, so the board, if you haven't had enough time reviewing the text, please take a look. And I think over the month they'll be still up.
We'll keep them here for the whole month till your next retreat, and if you want to take a textbook, just let Joyce know. And certainly we really don't need them back until the first day of school, or probably before to get things ready, but we welcome you with you.
We will take action this evening, because I think you need to have you need to go on and order them. And from what I've seen, they look like exceptional text and very well outlined for use with the different lessons and different differentiated learning pieces. I just like to point that out since we saw that. So, if there's no other discussion by the board to Mr. Powers, we can move to adopt, and we'll do different motions for each of the texts. The first would be for the social studies curriculum.
So moved.
Do you want to make the motion?
Do you want me to read it? Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Public Schools approves and adopts textbooks and/or instructional materials proposed to support social studies curriculum for grades 7 through 12.
Second by Sherry. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. Takes us to our second adoption textbook, which would include the health curriculum.
And like I said earlier, the health resources are behind Kathleen. They complement the health curriculum. This is a K-12 adoption, so the print material for the elementary is the primary source, with online resources available primarily for the teacher to use within the classroom. It can be accessed at home for the secondary and the high school is really.
And this will be online, mostly online.
Yeah.
Lisa, would you
I'll make a motion that the Waterford Public Schools approves and adopts textbooks and/or instructional materials proposed to support the health curriculum of grades K through 12.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll need a second to that motion.
Second.
Okay, second. Or Kevin, I suppose. If there's no discussion, we can move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion also carries. That takes us to our international student travel request. Mr. Delaire,
You have before you a trip for 9 to 12 of our students at Waterford High School, accompanied by 2 adult chaperones to both Italy and Greece, and it would occur during 2015 during the April break. And this is for students who have taken at least 2 years of Latin.
and this is in keeping with our new policy and guidelines, and it looks like a very good trip.
I want to go.
For the students.
Looks really good.
If someone would like to make a motion to accept the international student travel to Italy and Greece for the April 2015 timeframe.
I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves international travel for students and staff to Italy and Greece during April 2015.
Thank you, Jody. Second? Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Well, I'd just like to point out I'm pleased to see these international trips it keeps in with our goals that we've established, and I think it's going to be very beneficial for our students and to learn as they're learning Latin that they see in Italy. There's still a lot of remnants from the Roman civilization, so I think they'll enjoy the trip in Greece as well. So wonderful.
And also really a compliment to the teachers for putting these trips together.
And in advance, like we've asked, and I'm happy to see 2 teachers and a nice group, so that should be favorable. Okay, we can move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That motion also carries unanimously. That takes us to our next item, which is we need to appoint a representative to the MetroCast Citizens Advisory Board, July 1st, 2014 to June 30th, 2016. Would anyone like to?
Nominate you?
It's a lifetime appointment.
I've been there for quite a while. I love the people, but if anyone is, we also have an opening on the MetroCast on the town side.
You don't have any reason you would not want to continue?
No, this
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the Waterford Board of Education appoints Kathleen McCarty as its representative to MetroCast Citizen Advisory Board effective July 1st, 2014 through June 30th, 2016.
Second.
Thank you, Jody. Second by Devin. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you very much. That brings us to the reading of our policies, and as you see in front of you tonight, there are roughly 12 reading of our first policy reading, and I take this opportunity to let the board know that our assistant superintendent kept the Board of Education on track throughout this policy review. We met, I think, 10 times since December, and we've been actively involved in policy work, and it was Mr. Powers that brought forward the experts, his idea that bring the experts when we dealt with each policy to have the people that were affected by the policy right there at the table to give input, and I want to thank you for that, taking that initiative. I think it helped the board quite a bit in the development of all these policies. I know it's a lot to absorb tonight, so I've asked Mr. Powers if he would just go through each one in a fashion with a comment to each one, and then give you more time to look through these. This is just the first reading tonight, so there's no action necessary, but there are a lot there, so we'll come back to it again in our next Board of Ed meeting. But Mr. Powers, would you like to guide us through here?
It has been an ambitious season with 41 policies on the agenda, and tonight we just want to quickly go through the purpose for bringing these 11 policies forward to the board. The first one with school volunteers is really to make sure that our policy is fully in sync with the legislative changes around conducting sex offender registry checks for all volunteers at a school. And though we're just getting to this policy as a first reading in June, sometimes, as you know, we really can't wait to start fulfilling this requirement. And this requirement really started as a law July 1 of this year, and we have been doing that throughout the year. We are in addition, piloting a resource at one of our elementary schools to make that check a little more instantaneous and accurate each and every time. And if that pilot is successful, it's our choice to move that as a district-wide implementation to build this policy. But we have been really checking throughout the year. So that's on this one. And I guess if there are questions, please just ask. Otherwise, I'll just kind of keep going through them. Because there's the last meeting not having policies on here. I know this meeting is several days.
Right, got it.
So the next policy is really on test management, pesticide application. Changes to this were really made for clarity and consistency throughout the policy. This again is a practice that Jay has instituted many years ago, and we're really just being consistent with our language and the information that we've had on the website around our test management.
This is so good. Did you have a chance to check with Rec and Parks to see if they post or what they do on the fields that our students use off of campus? Like, for instance, the girls use Betts Field, and I know sometimes they use Lisa Deirdrick. I know the boys maybe use Babe Ruth or the soccer field.
So
Did we check into that?
Yes,
Okay.
we comply
Okay.
with these guidelines.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that they did. Thank you.
And maybe just want to point out that when we met with Jay Minor and we went through this policy, we were already, we were complying to all.
Really were. I didn't state that emphatically enough in the introduction. I definitely want to make that known. But really, we've been ahead, just like in our building projects with the silver lead on pest management and green cleaning before the legislation required it. And like I said, the purpose of this was really just clarity.
On the, did you move over to the green thing?
I can now.
Okay.
So the green cleaning, although we had a green cleaning statement on our website and have been following the green cleaning practices as required by law, we haven't adopted a policy formally, and it's the advice of legal counsel to really codify this as a board ed policy. And so again, this mirrors what we've been doing, and we've been compliant by having a statement up on our website. But this really is the best way, is to put it in the rule book for the town.
This point number 4 says the statement: no parent, guardian, teacher, or staff member may bring into the school facility any consumer product that is intended to clean, deodorize, sanitize, or disinfect. Well, first of all, clean, sanitize, disinfect what? And does that include things like hand sanitizer that somebody might have a small container of with on their person?
Yeah, I mean, it would be bringing in their own, if you will, Lysol or disinfectant in their classroom. For every product that we have in school, we have to make sure that we have the MSDA sheets on it. And really, with the clean program, the green program, we really want to make sure that all those cleaners are environmentally.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm looking at is any kind of confusion with like a personal product, wet naps or Purell or some little incidental personal item. Is there any confusion with that?
Really, when we're talking about
or are we talking like
staff
institutional?
member bringing it in and applying it to
general
items
use.
for general use. So, what people carry in their own personal belongings and maybe we're not checking, but if someone is applying that on the surfaces throughout the classroom, then we are saying that's
Fleshed out in the, or will it be fleshed out in the regulations? Because that's an important distinction. Every teacher is concerned about getting a cold.
absolutely.
Constantly touching students' hands or whatever.
Yeah.
Materials that they hand you. You want to wash your hands. You want to have that hand sanitizer there. Are you going to penalize them for doing that?
No, but
So that's why the regulations have to spell
And
it
so
out.
that's a great point, Greg. And so let me take some time developing some regulations to add clarity to this policy statement. And at the next meeting, or second reading, include those regulations in there to really be clear about that. Because if you're questioning it, then you're correct. Others would be questioning it. And we would probably want that clarity. Thank you.
I think this is also a new public act, isn't it? And we were already ahead, again, doing this in our school, so that would be great. Kevin?
Just for a little clarification for me. So we're not really talking about someone carrying a hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
We're talking about to clean desktops.
Right.
That's exactly right. And if someone wants to clean desktops more than what the custodian has, then just check the materials out from the custodian and use it. And so we're not saying that if someone needs to do it a little more frequent, they can, but it's really using the approved chemicals, the approved products for the school.
So if you had a teacher, for example, that was maybe going through chemo treatments, and then after their period of time they come back and they want to make sure things are clean, they'd be able to get those things
We would supply that. That's
for the
correct.
custodian problem.
Absolutely. So thank you. The next item is on AEDs, or automatic external defibrillators. Basically, this is to update and reflect our current procedures. Question for policy subcommittee was around the locations of AEDs. Just for the board, if I could have you pass it down, we do have a monthly check of where AEDs are located. And we also did get some clarity from our athletic director that we do have AEDs that go to games, and they're usually with the trainer for use. And so we do have two portable ones that are sent out just in case there's two different games. So we are covered there.
We just asked at that policy committee meeting if these were easy to use, and I was assured they would be, and that anyone who had need to use it would be able to.
I think I'm going to have a few language problems with this one here. And it seems there's a point at which it sort of just contradicts itself. In the first paragraph, the automatic external defibrillator shall be used in emergency situations when sudden cardiac arrest occurs by individuals specifically trained in the application of the device. I would reword that a little bit, but then later on we go down point number 4 in defining the device does not require user to employ any discretion or judgment in its use, but then there's a conflict with that and the amount of training required to be able to use it. So I think we're going to have
Thank you for bringing that conflict up for me.
we're going to have to
Look at that
yeah.
and suggest I bring back clarifications at the next meeting. And if that one needs then a second reading after that, the board will choose that.
Thank you.
Rewording on a couple of points there. Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
I just, at Clark Lane, it's in the main lobby. Shouldn't we have two at the school though? Because the school is pretty big.
Well, it's a 3-minute rule, and it's in the lobby because
Okay.
That's where the nurse's station is located, and the nurse does get out to all parts and do it within the, if you will, the prescribed package.
She'd have enough time.
Can get from one end of the building to the other within that time frame. So, right now, we think that that's the correct number.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just say, as you go through these readings, if you notice anything that we missed, that you still have time to get your comments in, about
So, the family medical leave regulation, which is why you just see the yellow section, really we needed to do some changes to stay in compliance with the FMLA Act. The biggest one was there's so often very, very minor changes on the actual form that we try to keep up with having the form codified in regulation. Seems like we're chasing our tail always. So to just say, here's the web link for the federal form to fill out was the largest change, but then I'll be happy to try to address any other smaller changes. For the school attendance policy, in April of 2013, the State Department of Education issued guidelines implementing and defining what is excused, what is not excused, absences, and what's the best practice. The policy and regulations have been amended to reflect those new standards that have been set by the state. The legal references have also been updated, and the letters that the administrators sent home also reflect the new thresholds. And at the policy subcommittee meeting, there was a discussion around the terms control or responsible, and the term control was really copied from the state statute. So I wouldn't recommend us softening that language because it's actually copied from the statute.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
The next one is on student discipline. And this policy basically was amended to ensure that the definition for bullying is aligned closely.
Was that all, that was in the previous?
But there's some further clarification to bullying in the last session. The physical activity and student discipline, Public Act 13173 requires Board of Education to adopt policies that the Board deems appropriate concerning issues regarding any school employee being involved in preventing students from participating from the entire time devoted towards physical exercise during the regular school day. Long story short, this is a policy basically saying that to use discipline by taking away someone's afternoon recess is really not allowed. And again, that went into effect July 1. Elementary principals have been dutifully informed the staff, and the staff has been complying with that. Our policy is just catching up with this.
What a shame. What a shame. One of the best weapons a teacher has to get Johnny to do his homework. It's not to let him go off to recess. You're taking that away from him.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, and I have some of the principals share the alternative weapons.
Positive reinforcement and all that. I mean, come on, what really works is you go do your homework the third time this week. You're not going out to recess. It works.
It was a large carrot in a student's mind. So for that, you're correct.
I think Greg also has to do with, we're trying to have healthier students and
Oh, I
we believe
understand all
that
that,
is
all
important.
that language and fancy stuff, but the bottom line is that you really are taking away an effective tool, and you're gonna hurt more kids than you're gonna help.
I guess the legislation just
Johnny never put on a pound because he didn't do his homework and had to stay in for recess. In fact, he ended up doing his homework so he could enjoy recess and burn off that pound.
It's a great argument, and certainly, because it's a state law, we're following the law. What the board wants to do with the policy, certainly up to the board, but it's a point well taken.
Well, we do need to abide by it. We have
We
no
have a
choice.
policy that, with regret, this board passes this policy because we have to. We think it's wrong, but we have to pass it because the
We have done
legislature
that.
passed it.
We have done that in the past. So
I'd recommend
we sent
that.
letters when we haven't agreed on it.
If the board would like that type of,
Well, someone's got to tell these
to a
people
policy.
they're whacked out.
Yes, we certainly could, if the board would like to direct that.
And Greg, I'd just say to you that many of the professional organizations, along with CABE, do the lobbying around a variety of pieces of legislation that we're not very fond of. And so this had a great deal of conversation.
Would you like to?
So, the next regulation is on student records, and, student records, we revised this again to add the bullying record as a recommended class, and so this is really just a clarification for our administrators on the policy.
It's on the retention of the student record.
Correct. Graduation requirement, the impetus for looking at this policy was really to update language to reflect the statewide assessment system has been changed from P&P and FAPS, and we've also clarified some language because when this policy was last looked at, we were implementing study physics in 2004, and so we clarified that just to be consistent.
This is basically the new standards that we have to attend.
Correct. The SFAP system.
We did, if May, and we'll have another chance, we did not change as the policy committee. It was brought up, do we want to keep the requirements where they are, and the committee decided to table the discussion to add anything new to the graduation requirements at this time.
Correct. So we are mindful of the board's desire to have us look at a finance class. We are mindful that whenever we set a policy, especially with graduation requirements, we really need to be very cautious about how we're going to implement it before we codify it in policy. And so that sort of progress is being worked on behind the scenes, and you don't see any change in that quite yet at a policy level.
Thank you. And I believe the last one?
The last one is credit for online courses. This is to formalize our ability to really earn high school credit online. This will never take the place of a teacher in front of students. It would really be to give opportunities for classes that we can't run due to very subscribed offerings, and the ability for students to maybe catch up if they've had sort of an interruption in their education along the way.
And this one took on quite a bit of discussion at the policy committee level, so we were reassured that this was more an enhancement, did not take place with any of the requirements in course. It's just adding another tool of enhancement using technology. And thank you, Ms. Power, for those 6 things, but very good redaction of each one of these policies that we've gone through. And as I said to the board, you do have time between now and the next board meeting. If there's anything that we've overlooked tonight, any changes you want to see or any comments, please do not hesitate. We will have a second reading of these policies in July. But Ted, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just thinking, you know how I keep bringing up that sometimes we ought to have more languages. So, as an online, if a certified teacher offered for a tri-school district, let's say Mandarin, would it be something that would be acceptable?
Yes, we have a virtual high school program right now. We have, and with that, we have to have a teacher that's trained in it. We could look at foreign languages. I've also reached out to places like NFA, which has a very wealthy world language program, and seeing if we could do some online stuff. They don't run a block schedule. They run a 7-period schedule, so the timing is a little tricky. But certainly when it comes to online offerings, we can really look to see if Mandarin is within the offerings in our virtual high school.
Just through that one out.
Yeah. Certainly other ones are.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. It was a lot to the board to observe, but we will come back in July. Thank you, Greg. That takes us to the end of our regular scheduled meeting. We will go into the executive session, and I would like to take a motion that we go into executive session to discuss contracts of employment for superintendent of schools. And with that, I'd also like to invite our attorney Ann Littlefield to attend, and Jerry Belair. So may I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jody. Second by Kevin. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're now in executive session. We'll just take one moment to say good night, thank you.
We're very